Hi, my name is Justin Royak, and I'm reading Fluent in 3 Months by Benny Lewis. He posted some very good points in his book about in 13 on page 34. He says, when I was first learning Spanish, I was afraid that I would call someone's mother a smelly grasshopper, or worse, if I slipped up my pronunciation or conjugations. Because of this, I felt I had to wait until my Spanish was much better until I dared to use it for other people. The problem is that when you use it, you never feel ready enough. There'll always be more to learn, and you'll always be able to make an excuse that you should go up and learn more words. People are incredibly encouraging, helpful, so happy to hear you try and patient. Well, let's say that Dario wasn't patient and understanding. Dario was never patient and understanding with me. When I was speaking Russian, she thought my Russian was incredibly horrible and refused to help me with it. She would never bother to help me with Russian, and she hated it every time I spoke it. She never bothered to help me. Now that's a fact. I always had problems with Russian, and always had problems with speaking other languages. That was a common problem of mine for a long time, is that I never had native speakers to talk to. I always had native speakers to talk to, but Danny seems to make the point here, also in his book, that he makes the point that the perfect mastery is impossible. Well, I think he's full of crap. He says, but he does say that rest assured that fluency is very much possible for us mere mortals, even for those of us who did poorly in languages in school. Aim for a competition lower first, then strive for fluency. Mastery can indeed come with time, even if perfection in language. Well, he does make the point that mastery and perfection, but it takes often years to learn a language. At least I've been saying that Benny seems to think that mastery is impossible. He doesn't seem to think that mastery is impossible, but he seems to think that perfect mastery is impossible. But it was kind of misleading when he wrote that perfect mastery is impossible in that book, which I couldn't understand. I read part of his book, and he seems to be motivating people to learn languages, which is great. But the point is that you just want to learn a language. You don't care what everyone else thinks or does. And he seemed to think that native speakers, he seems to think that you'll frustrate native speakers. He seemed to think that, he seemed to think that you won't frustrate native speakers. But I always frustrated native speakers when I spoke Russian. And they always thought I spoke poorly, too. And they would refuse to help me. And Dario is a big example of this. Daria Larson is on YouTube now. She lives in Ireland with her husband, Karsten Larson. Anyway, that's all I have to say. That's not all I have to say. So I'm tired of Daria. Tired of all the BS that she gave me over the years. About how bad I was in Russian and refused to help me. I wasn't allowed to make mistakes with her. She was allowed to make mistakes in English, and when I pointed out mistakes she made in English, she became indignant and thought her English was really perfect, when it wasn't. I don't know what her problem was, honestly. I've had enough of Daria and her crap. This was back in 2007, 2008. I had all kinds of problems with it. Other languages, and Daria didn't help any. I would like to be able to say that perfect mastery is possible in a language, and Benny didn't need that misleading title there. That was kind of misleading, though. He is listing all kinds of reasons to why. He's debunking all kinds of numerous excuses as to why you can't learn a language. People always find a way to learn a language even if they're busy with many stuff. A lot of stuff, and that's the point he's trying to make in the book. And Benny was doing very good with learning languages. He was doing very good with learning languages. I think. I've read the book. I've partly read the book, and I think it's very interesting. Though I think he does too much to encourage people. If people aren't going to choose not to learn languages, that's their problem, not mine. If people decide they're not going to learn a language, they're not going to learn a language. And no amount of telling them otherwise is going to make them. You can't really make somebody learn another language. Well, I suppose you can. Like they did in Poland in the 1600s, where they had people speaking Russian instead of German instead of Polish, and they discouraged the Polish language. But even then, Polish still survived to this day. You can still make somebody learn another language, but people hate you for it. That's all there is to it. And Benny makes a great point about learning another language. He's great with learning languages. Christoph Bugs seems to think that he's not very functional in learning that language. But Christoph Bugs is a jackass, as we all know. He's a complete jackass who gets on my comments and starts trolling me, waiting for a response, and he writes something to me in Spanish about me being a jerk. But he's a jerk. But he's the one that's a jerk. Trying to make his own point about language learning that it's not working for him. He seems to think he's more functional than Benny is at speaking Italian, but this may be the case. At least he doesn't have to be so egotistical and rub it in Benny's face. The polyglots on YouTube all hate each other for the most part. Except Moses, McCormick, and Benny. They were speaking a bunch of languages in the mall in Ohio. And that video was very interesting and stimulating, I thought. Benny did a great job with Moses. And Moses McCormick shows him speaking Chinese and Russian and Albanian and a bunch of other languages in Ohio, where he lives. It's fairly interesting that he can speak many languages. I think he's a great guy too. I think that learning languages is not as hard as people like to make it out to be. Learning languages is not very difficult. It's pretty easy. Put your mind to it, really focus on it, devote enough time to it. And there are people that are busy, still find time to study a language in their spare time, even though they're busy with chores and stuff. In fact, while you're doing chores and doing the dishes, you can learn a language by, I don't know, going to the Sagertown Library and getting out their Greek, just listen and learn Greek book. It's the blue one. It's in the audio section over by the French, and I have been to that library. Great library, by the way. The Sagertown Library, and get out the just listen and learn Greek or whatever language you're interested in learning. If you can't get it out by if in Pennsylvania at least, if you can't get out a book with your own library, you can go to Access Pennsylvania and print out a piece of paper, right? That gives you the ISBN and every information on the book to be able to be sent for by an interlibrary loan. I think every state has interlibrary loan. I'm not sure, but Pennsylvania is a pretty good interlibrary loan system. If you can't find a book available in your area, you simply go on, you do ask your interlibrary loan people for another book, and they'll give it to you. Most of the time, it works. But I've been refused requests because they wasn't there, because they didn't want to give it out for some reason, because they didn't have enough money, or they didn't have enough postage, or they was too old for them to be taken out, or I don't know what. Or maybe it was because they were afraid of something. Anyway, Penn State Interlibrary Loan has Chinese-Russian dictionary and a Chinese and a French-Russian dictionary, and Penn State Interlibrary Loan also has German-Russian dictionary, Russian-German dictionary. No, I can argue that my Russian-German dictionary is newer than theirs, but the old ones are still some of the best made. The Soviet era 1970s dictionaries are pretty good, but they somehow just don't compare to the dictionary you get from 2010, for example, that you can buy on Amazon for like $20, $30, $50, something like that. They're more up to date on Amazon. They have more words in them, which is great. German, I think, is a beautiful language. Deutsch ist eine schöne, schöne Sprache. Ich spreche, ich spreche Deutsch. Und ich mag Deutsch gern. Ich mag Deutsch gern. Ich bin Amerikaner aus Cochranton. Ich lebe in Cochranton. Ich bin Amerikaner. Ich heiße Justin Royak. Ich kenne Deutsch. Меня зовут Justin Royak. Я знаю немецкий язык. И я люблю немецкий язык. Волим немецкий язык. Немецкий je lepší jazyk. I ne, já znám dvojku u Němečkoj. Ta se zove Kristýna. Já jsem govoril s Kristýnou u Němečkoj. U Němečku. Molim, žal mi je. Neznám pravou řeč. Mrzím gramatiku srbského jazyka. Srbský je trudný. Srbský je... Bože... Srbský je těžký jazyk. I confuse Russian with Serbian all the time, that's why I do that. It's so stupid. I can mash one language together and means one word means something in one language and one word means something else in a different one. It's really difficult to master. German is not that easy. German, Deutsch ist hard. Ich lerne Deutsch. Ich lerne Deutsch in der Schule. In der Schule. Ich war ein Student in der Schule. Ich war ein Student von Frau Miller. Frau Miller war meine Lehrerin in der Schule. Ich habe Deutsch gelernt. Und das ist alles. Auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, do svidania, do widzenia i zovem se Justin Royak. This is all I have to say about Benny's book. I would, I will, I will post another video about what I think of Fluent in 3 months as soon as I read through more of the book.